right. Hello, everybody. Can you hear me? I think you
Yes,
can.
sir.
Welcome, everybody, to our weekly DAO space. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you, Kimosabe, for joining us. Thank you, Scientist Joe, Kuru, Dean, Machine. Let's hit it off. Excited for this one today. So, Kimo, I know you don't have much time. Can you walk us through, tell us a few things about Align and the cool things that you have been building, you guys?
Yeah, totally. So, Align is kind of the product of trying to, for those of you who don't know me, I've been trying to sort of bridge the gap between NFT projects and DAOs for the better part of 2 years on Solana. So, pretty much since Realms existed, I've been trying to get NFT projects to use it. Um, and that has been almost impossible. And I think there's a few reasons for that. I think first and foremost is that most NFT degens don't have any. They don't have enough patience. Like they don't have enough attention span to actually spend the time to learn realms and understand sort of the DAO theory behind all that. So Align's kind of what I would say is the sort of the bridge between your Discord server and your actually fully functioning DAO, right? So it's not as decentralized as a true DAO would be, but it's definitely more decentralized than a Discord server. The basic kind of premise is sort of a community proposed multi-sig. So what that looks like is you have your council, similar to your council tokens on Realms, and then everybody who holds an NFT, or in the case of Bonk, wraps their Bonk for a community NFT. They can propose transactions to that multi-sig, and sort of what that looks like is a 5-step process, which is one, you make a proposal, you ask for the amount of money you want, and you ask for the or whatever whatever deliverable you'd like to get paid for. You sort of propose that to it. It goes through a ranking period, which is sort of like a Reddit style upvote downvote thing. So the community can rank your proposal, vote on your proposal, eventually comment on your proposal, all that good stuff. One key differentiator from Realms is that the user can delete their proposal. If they want to, repropose it in a different frame, the user can delete it. The council cannot delete it, but the user can delete it. And then from there, there's a ranking period that is set by the DAO. This will be changeable in the future, but right now on most of them it's 3 days, but can go as high as 2 weeks or as low as 1 day. Once that ranking period is over, it gets pushed to the council for review. And then if the council likes the proposal, they accept it, and then it goes into the servicing phase where the proposer has to upload proofs. Those proofs are uploaded to Shadow Drive. Those proofs are, here's the link to the website I built. Here's the, Discord emojis that I made, or at least a screenshot of proof of them. And then the council does a final review. If they accept that the work is passable and has been done to the original proposal's sort of standard, then they accept that payout, or they push the payout, and the payout goes to the proposer / servicer. And that's a pretty high level overview, but that's the fundamentals of it.
All right. Super exciting stuff. I wanted to ask about the main difference. One of the main differences with Realms. Why do we have to wrap our bonk in order to vote and not vote with the bonk straight away and directly?
Yeah. So the way we set up this Align is that it's not a vote. It's not a weighted voting system. It is a weighted voting system. You have weight based off of the amount of bonk you hold, but over time you earn more weight by participation. And the real thing there is that primarily, I think the issue with all DAOs is that it overserves sort of wealth, token wealth, whether that's actual money or just how many of the tokens you have. it overserves wealth instead of participation. So the way it kind of works is with Bonk, you wrap your token for an NFT. It's 1 million Bonk. You swap it for an NFT, and then that NFT is equal to essentially one rep point. And you get rep points for voting. You get rep votes either up or down. You get rep votes for proposing. You get rep points for completing jobs, and each of these things give a little bit more or less. CG, voting is going to give you one rep point. Proposing might give you five, completing a proposal might give you five. So this way, people who are active in the DAO but not necessarily wealthy can have more polling weight in the future and sort of shape the direction in a light way, in a sort of light touch way.
So, if I understand this correctly, the way that you can is to have the tokens wrapped in the NFT, so that you can accumulate based on your activity, right?
Correct. Yeah. So we initially designed the line only for NFT DAOs. The wrapping program was put together like 2 days before we went live with Bonk. So that is very janky, and the onboarding experience isn't great, but it'll get better.
For sure. Let's hear it from Dean. He has raised his hand.
Super great to be talking again, Kimo. It's been a while, brother.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
And massive congrats on all the success with Align, dude. I'm very excited for what you guys at Phase Labs are building. I'm looking forward to us also doing our review. There's plenty of time for us to reconnect on that. There's so much to go over. I wanted to ask because I had put up one of the earliest proposals that was not part of the Align Phase and Bonk.
Not part of the giant raid.
Yeah,
totally.
And now I see that there's like something like 9 proposals that have now gone into the council review. I want to I know that you guys are building in real time, and that's like, as someone who's been there, I know that's the only way. I'm on this adventure with you guys. I'm wondering, where are you on the thought process as how do you prioritize which of those proposals will be the first you tackle? Like so as someone who's put a proposal forward, I don't have any like transparency into when that might be addressed. And that's cool. Like, I totally get it. My question though is kind of like, how are you guys thinking about it? Is it going to be like an advertised time frame that, like, if something gets passed, maybe within 14 days, or like, I don't know, is that up to the DAO? Do you prioritize based on like how many votes something got, or like how much activity? Like, what's your thinking around prioritizing those proposals?
So there's going to be a few different things that we're going to explore. We don't have any filtering so far for the council because we didn't think we would need it, but then we got 180 proposals. Because we assumed that it would function sort of like, not like Realms, but in that there wouldn't be a huge glut of proposals all at once. So that was somewhat of a surprise, and obviously a product of it being sort of the entry ticket to the burn airdrop. So a lot of those proposals are probably garbage, and will be filtered out that way. On that side of things, what we want to do is sort of do a bulk reject for anything that has negative sentiment. And so if a bunch of people or the council can automatically reject anything that has, a large, we don't like this sort of quorum from the community. That will filter out most of the garbage, or at least a decent amount of it. Surprisingly, I think it was when I went through and manually counted, it was something like 70% had at least something of value in the proposal, which was more than I kind of expected from, I guess, a raid like that. As far as prioritizing the valuable proposals, I think what we'll first do is implement a filter for the council. And this is all sort of for the council specifically, conversations with them. They're like, it's hard to go through all these, there's too many. What we'll do is allow them to sort by priority. So priority being time frame, what came first, And then also value. So the proposals that have, they propose like, $30,000. Those proposals that are really, really high value can be sorted to the top. And then probably multi-select voting as well, so that they can kind of be like, no, 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 or yes, 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 yes. That's just sort of the early thoughts. We're still definitely exploring all this stuff simply because we did not expect to have so many.
Yeah, those are good problems to have, I guess, right? As you said, the hardest part is getting people using the tools and interested in governance. I think you guys have definitely solved for that, especially with the connection to Burn. Yeah, on the proposal side, I think that makes sense. The ability to prioritize based on first come first serve. From an ethical, like moral standpoint, I think that's the best. Make sure that you're looking at what came in first. Um, and then maybe there's some sort of formula that connects with how many upvotes and how many votes in general. Like, could something pass if um, like there's a minimum quorum of how many upvotes it needs, correct?
No, there's not. So something could pass with like technically the council could pass a negative proposal at the moment. And that's just part of the building and open. That would be their choice ultimately, rather than the full community choice. But then there would be transparency at the very least that the
Right.
council pass a negative proposal, and that's kind of the goal here. Is not so much it's more providing social transparency than anything, right? So with your Discord votes, it's really hard to gauge transparency on those things, right? You could have someone come in and bot the Discord vote and all that stuff, and this is a little bit more resistant to things like that. Definitely not perfect by any means. This is very much an alpha product. So yeah.
So I love that. It's for the first 3 days, and I guess DAOs will eventually be able to choose how long that time frame is. So first 3 days of a proposal, it's community sentiment, and then after that, the council gets to decide what they're going to do.
Right, and the other key piece here too is drafts. So proposers can send links to drafts before they actually publish it for polling, so they can get sort of internal review in the Discord or wherever they might be, and then revise it and then finally publish that. And then if they need to delete the proposal and do it again, they can. I think we've seen a bunch of sort of outside of the curve things with Bonk, so we're not entirely sure how effective the polling will be with a fungible token that you can sort of wrap an almost infinite amount of. Again, this was designed specifically for NFT communities. So this is all very, very experimental in how effective it is. Yeah.
And I have one more, quick question before, I'll defer back to our host. When do you think we'll be able to, like, is it something that Dean's List can use today, or do we need to wait our turn?
I mean, yeah, you could use it today. It's just permissioned at the moment, closed alpha. Few of those things. So we're entirely bootstrapped. All of our money has come from hackathons. And then the few white label versions that we do, we charge for those, but that's just charging first. And it's the same as the free version, quote unquote. So if you go to align.phaselabs.io, you'll see a few other DAOs that have tried it out, NFT DAOs. Not much activity in those. Bonk is definitely the outlier, and we'll see if activity actually picks up post airdrop, because obviously that's not organic. But so it's in closed alpha. If you want to get on, basically all we have to do is whitelist your address, and the reason for that is primarily just because we don't have the resources to manage more than a few permissioned DAOs at the moment. So I guess if I was to call it a DAO, that would be a misnomer, simply because it's permissioned at the moment.
Exciting. Looking forward to syncing up with you on this after. I think we'd also like to make a custom UI and you know support support what you guys are doing.
That'd be sweet. That'd be super cool. Love to see how you guys use it. I think it's definitely it's like, you know, Realms is for your power users and people who are sort of remotely or you know at least somewhat intimate with DAO theory. Um, and then this is kind of trying to bridge the gap between the people that aren't.
I love this conversation so much. I mean, it's great advancements for the DAO space in general, and for Solana DAOs in particular. I wanted to ask, how do you envision a synergy between Realms and Align in the future? As you said, being that Realms is for the power users, the way that you view it, and Align is for more simple approach degens into DAOing. How can we pull them from degening and pull them into the DAO space more? How have you envisioned that in the future?
I'm not sure. I mean, I think that's something that we'll have to see play out, honestly. It's far too early to tell in terms of usage of Align. You know, one of the things that we want to do is get Align sort of as, you know, like there's the custom front end and then there's our front end, but ultimately we want to integrate it in as many touch points as possible. So ideally that means that there's a tab on a marketplace where you can click and see sort of what the community is doing, you know, upvoting, all that stuff, maybe even you know, have the ability to upvote on marketplaces and things like that. And then doing things like dialect smart messages where people can sort of upvote, downvote proposals within messaging apps, things like that. So I think like the first step is just getting people to use this. It is built on SPL governance, so it should be integratable with Realms at some point. I'm not entirely sure how that is going to work beyond sort of the structure that already exists. So what that means is like maybe the council is a Realms DAO, but again, it would be more centralized than your typical DAO because it is sort of a council community thing. And the thing here is that it's not really, I don't think it's really competition with Realms in any meaningful capacity because again, it's not full decentralization. It's more decentralized than a Discord server, but it's definitely not, you know, everybody has one vote. So it's kind of like a sentiment DAO, I guess. The way right now Bonk is using it, they still have their realms set up for sort of the core contributors. And that'll be probably most of the major decisions will go through there. But the you know, the sort of community engagement aspect of it is just sort of lowering the barrier to entry there is important.
That's great to hear. So basically, we're taking one step away from centralized options like Discord and all that, and Discord polls, and moving on, to a proper Web3 app to perform, sentiment votes and all that before we move to the decision making to the let's say power users and the council, the high council, whatever we want to call it, that resides on Realms. Very, very exciting. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and then I think like kind of the next evolution there is setting it up. Right now, council members can't be removed or added after you create the organization, which is definitely something we want to fix, obviously. But ideally, in the future, allowing it to sort of function more as a sort of representative democracy would be interesting in terms of like, okay, I want to be the new council member. Let's do an upvote poll. Existing council members can approve, and boom, they add me. And then, hey, I want to step down. You know, this polling can happen. I mean, I imagine stepping down could probably, that doesn't necessarily have to go through community sentiment, but I think like sort of taking a page out of representative democracy and things like that and sort of beta testing that will be interesting. Yeah.
No, that's amazing because we need more and more initiatives and more dApps, to dive into these things because Web3 is, to my mind, at least, is very very tightly correlated with decentralized governance and collaborative decisions, and that's a great step forward. Kudos to you guys and congrats for what you've put together in a fairly short amount of time, I believe, and working, like crazy to maintain and push forward.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We did a sprint like the last couple days. Our dev pushed support for both Token 2022 and PNFTs. So I think we're we're well ahead of most of the other dApps on Token 2022 support. So that's sweet. Uh, but yeah, if anybody has any questions, I got about 5 minutes before I got to jump.
Yeah, I was about to say that. Anyone from the audience have any questions for Kimo? I want to ask one question if anyone, there's anyone that wants to ask something. Give us an Eli 5 real quick, if you can, about the Token 22, the new standard that's the talk of the town lately.
Yeah, sure. So on ETH, there is already sort of analog to this, and it's been around for a while. If you have ever heard of tax tokens, so that's stuff that when you transfer it, you can have a certain percentage of that transfer deducted. That's one of the things that's built into Token 2022, and that's sort of what Burn and I think there's another, it's like Solar Moon coin or something are using. I believe those are the only two public tokens built on 2022 right now. But basic TLDR is that it is sort of an extension of the existing SPL token standard. It allows for all sorts of different things. I think there's 25 unique instructions. Issue with right now the SPL token, it's not so much an issue, but it's very simple, right? Like there's not much you can do with it. You can send it, you can receive it, you can build NFTs on top of it, etc. But Token 2022 allows for a huge amount of more configurable options. So there's things like ZK privacy, so zero knowledge proofs. It's like essentially you can allow for confidential transfers, privacy tokens, things like that, where the amount that you're sending is obscured. There's the tax thing where you can sort of, take a percentage of the transfer based off of how much is being transferred, and that is based in the token, not in Solana. So if I send, say, 1,000 burn, then 50 of that burn is sent to a designated wallet by the creator, and that can be burnt, that can be redistributed as Burn is doing, et cetera. But it opens up a lot of options for sort of protocols to and tokens to do really interesting things. There's also this thing called transfer hook logic, which is probably my favorite thing. And that, simply put, that is like if something is true, then you can send it. So what that allows you is to where that something is in that phrase, whatever, if royalties are paid, then you can send. What that allows is for little small custom programs to be built into, like you can make your own program, put it into that phrase, and if that program returns true, so if, say, royalties are paid, then you send it. So it allows for, like, you're right, we have PNFTs to enforce royalties, but those are super complex and they require like freezing and thawing and all this stuff. With Token 2022, all that requires is one small program to return a yes to it. And so what that allows is a huge benefit to composability. Pretty much any project could probably build its own royalty enforcement solution for NFTs or, a million other things. There's a few other interesting things that you can do with it, but I think the transfer hook, so the if this, then that logic is cool. Confidential transfers are cool. And then the tax token, token taxes is interesting. Yeah, I think those are the three big ones. There's a bunch of other stuff too, but those are the three interesting ones to me.
The 75 devs have been busy, huh?
Very busy. Yeah. And it's also not. It's not like there's a lot of mixed messaging here on Solana from from different people. Developers love it. They're like, "Oh, use it," and then the foundation's like, "Oh, it's not audited yet." I mean, it is audited, but it hasn't had its final audit yet. And that's mostly due to the confidential stuff that's not quite finished, all the confidential transfers and whatnot. So it's very new, very, very new. If you have Burn, you won't see it in your wallet at the moment. No wallet support token 2022. It is in your account. It is in your wallet on chain. If you have Burn for whatever reason or got airdropped it. But for the most part, yeah, it's not. It's very nascent, however you say that.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what will happen with the adoption, because I've seen wallets and such, and I know from being with the Solfair team as well that we're looking at the situation, and we're in a kind of wait and see mode, and I'm seeing this all across the board. So it's very interesting to see how this will turn out. So we get the adoption that we can have and unlock these new possibilities. Exciting days for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's exciting, and I'm all for more options in any capacity. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I think it'll probably just be used for shit coins and meme tokens for a while. So
this is the way. This is the Solana way.
Yeah, if anybody has any other questions, I can probably go over a bit, but otherwise I'll probably jump.
Welcome, Wales friend. Nice to see you.
Sweet. Well, thanks for letting me word vomit a line at you guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you for coming, man. It's been a great conversation. Thank you for joining our chat here. We do this every week. We gather up and talk about DAOs, so feel free to drop by anytime you want. Very happy to have you.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and then I'll keep in touch about getting Dean's List on there. That shouldn't be too difficult. You guys can test it out.
Of course. I know we have a lot of power user beasts in the audience as well. I see Scientist Joe, I see Legend, I see Kuru, I see Miha Catford. So yeah, a lot of people are eager to test these things. So yeah, looking forward.
Sweet. All right, thank you, Taki. I'm gonna go pitch something to Solana Collective now.
GLHF, my man, GLHF. Thank you for coming in. See you soon.
Yes, sir. Yeah, toodles.
Okay. Anyone wants to come on stage and talk about? We have a little bit of time left. I also want to make an announcement that I'm sure you've seen it by now that we've did it from Dean's List. We have published our new RFP grant in collaboration with Realms and the Solana Foundation. So this is a great way to build your way towards a 5,000 USDC grant. Let me share the tweet in the space. Just a moment. So yeah, a couple of things about this new RFP grant. We have collaborated with the Solana Foundation and Realms, for those of you that don't know, and we're working on making the SPL governance platform, much better, much cooler, and with much more toys for any DAO friends and DAO people to use. So this particular grant is about building the UI to expose the function that the SPL governance already has, which is about multiple choice votes. When I say multiple choice, we mean votes that you can have more than two outcomes because we have been used, to have binary votes, yes or no votes. So this is a very, very exciting and interesting step for the whole DAO space in general, to be able to have votes that you can vote on more than a yes or no response to give out your preference. We have talked about that in previous spaces here. So have a look, tell your friends, spread the word on this one, and let's see the submissions until the deadline, which is by August 1st this summer. Very exciting and a great deal of development for the DAO space in general and Solana DAOs as well. If you guys have any questions, or if anyone wants to talk about something regarding Two Realms or any DAO chat in general, feel free to raise your hands. Otherwise, we can call it here. Okay. Thank you, everybody, for joining. This has been a kind of short but very, very concise space. A great chat by Kimo. Thank you for coming. This space is being recorded, so you can revisit later the conversation. Amazing things are happening in the DAO space, in the Solana DAO space in particular. And I know that Dean's List and the power users of our network state are always here to try out new things and dive into new toys to play. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Have a great weekend and see you around.